Now when it gets cool enough so that I don't burn myself, but still warm to the touch, I'm going to go along with my thumb and rub the overlap edge, and this excess adhesive will ball up, and you can discard it so that you don't have a exposed sticky spot there. And it looks pretty good. It's getting fairly cool. We'll give it a little bit more, but essentially what you do is you just come along, and you can see the adhesive will kind of peel off the tubing while it's hot. Now once it cools, it will be darn difficult to get the adhesive off. So somewhere between or before the tubing becomes room temperature, you want to do this. And again, don't try and use any solvent or any other method to remove the adhesive. The solvent is quite, I apologize, the adhesive is quite solvent resistant, and the easiest way to get this excess adhesive off is to roll it with your thumb while it's warm. Once the tubing has come back to room temperature, the adhesive joint will be very strong. Turns out the adhesive joint is every bit as good or better from a performance standpoint than the tubing itself. And there we have a PRT jacket installed, and it doesn't look too bad. Now if you were trying to tear this apart, one of the beautiful things about PRT tubing is that it can be removed. As easy as it was to put on in the middle of a cable, if there was a T here and a bulkhead here or a connector and something you couldn't get it on, you can put PRT tubing in between T sections in a lot of places that standard shrink tubing just can't be installed. And the other key thing to keep in mind is, because this area on this edge is double thick at the overlap flap, if you have a chafe problem, it's desirable to orientate the tubing before you shrink it so that this double thick area faces your chafe problem. And that looks like a pretty good assembly. The best, once this is all back to room temperature, it'll be very difficult to get this apart. If you find that you have to get it apart down the road or 3 or 4 months later in assembly, it's desirable to warm it back up to make the tubing soft and pliable again, so that it will tend to stretch while you're tearing the adhesive joint apart. So it is reenterable, or not reenterable in the sense, but it is removable to be and then must be replaced. But it does offer you the feature of being able to come back in if you're using it as a wear mechanism, take one that's been worn severely and put a new piece on.